Shark wheels have been called the reinvention of the wheel. They're heavily hyped in longboarding and skateboarding. But are they good for surf skating? That's the question we'll answer in this review. Hey friends, I'm Steve with Surf Skate Love, and I have been playing around with wheels a lot lately, and my latest focus has been on shark wheels. Shark wheels are a very interesting design. From the side, they almost look like a cube or a square, and then when you look at the contact patch, you've got these three waves. So shark wheels have three primary claims. The first is that they have more grip and therefore more slide control. The second is that because they have less friction, they're faster. And the third is that they have more traction over rougher terrain. And they even have a page on their website devoted to selling the benefits of shark wheels for surf skating specifically. And we'll go into detail into that later. So as I'm reviewing these, understand that I'm looking at these through two lenses specifically. And the first is surf skating. I'm not looking at them as downhill longboard speed wheels, anything else other than the benefits, the uses for surf skating. And then the second lens through which I view these wheels is my personal riding style and my abilities. I like to just jump on a board and ride for 2 hours straight, never taking my feet off of the board and traveling through a lot of different terrain, which could include steep hills, rough pavement, pebbles, cracks, smooth pavement. You can go from rough to smooth. And so I need a wheel that is very versatile and that can handle a lot of different terrain and environments. So as I analyze wheels, the questions I ask are, number one, how well do they grip for tight carving? Number two, how well do they pump? Number three, how well do they handle rough surfaces, cracks, and pebbles? Number four, how fast are they? Number five, how comfortable are they? And finally, how well do they slide? And on that last point, I am not a slider, and so that gives me a weak spot as a reviewer. So if you're a slider, I'm not going to be the best help on that front. However, I do feel like I can give you a good enough idea of the overall performance of these wheels, and from that, you can decide whether or not it's going to be worth it to you to try them out for sliding specifically. Now on their website, they have four sizes. They have 95 millimeter, 72 millimeter, 60 millimeter, and they do have one option at 54 millimeters. I got the 72 millimeters because for me, that of all of those sizes, that's going to be the best for surf skating, or at least the way that I ride. So here's how we're going to do this review. I'm going to just take you on my daily ride that involves a lot of different terrain and environments. And as we're skating, I'm going to just tell you in live action what I'm experiencing. So let's head out to our first location. Okay, so here we are at the top of a hill. Now, not only is this hill very steep, I don't know if you can get a frame of reference for how steep it is, but it also is extremely rough. It's got lots of rough asphalt sections, it's got lots of cracks, and it also has lots of pebbles all throughout. So given that riding rough terrain is one of the main selling points of the shark wheel, this should be a pretty good test. Okay, so right out of the gate, what I notice is, whoa, I can ride this hill. It will grip me, but if you can notice, if I'm on anything rough and I try to slide, it will very easily slide out. Because of that reduced contact patch, it does not like slides on rough stuff. Really slides out on me, and I don't like it at all. Whew. Okay, so can I ride rough, steep hills with it? Yes. But as I said, and as you noticed, on these shark wheels, when you're on rough stuff, they are very easy to slide from side to side. The one advantage that I do feel on this hill is that if you're going straight on these wheels and you're hitting pebbles and debris, things like that, it does handle that okay, but it does not like any kind of side to side sliding on rough surfaces. So let's head off to our next location.
Okay, here we are at our second location. I like to ride up on sidewalks as I'm going down the street. I don't know if you can really tell, but this sidewalk is very, very cracky. There's lots of different uneven concrete. And what I'm testing in this environment is the comfort. As I go over these large cracks, is it jarring to me? How do these wheels feel in terms of comfort over rough, cracky concrete? Let's give it a shot. Okay, bottom line is I do not find these wheels very comfortable. They say they're 78 durometer, which should be a very soft and comfortable wheel, but for whatever reason, it is much harder than most of my other Surfskate wheels, which bottom line makes for kind of an uncomfortable ride on rough surfaces. Let's head to our next spot. Okay, here's our next spot. This is another very steep hill. It's paved with these bricks, which creates a lot of uneven surface. So let's give this a shot, see how the Shark wheels ride on this surface. Okay, so what I notice on this is the exact same thing as that other steep hill. Bottom line is I can ride it, but when it comes to these Shark wheels, when you're on rough surfaces, it will slide out to you on the side. My experience is that on these rough surfaces, you really don't have nearly as much grip as you do with other Surfskate wheels. So let's head off to our next location. Our next test is very simple. I've got some nice, clean, smooth pavement behind me, and I just want to test how well these wheels pump and carve. Okay, so obviously this was a silly little test. It's a very small area. I didn't do a lot of pumping and carving here, but I have done a lot of pumping and carving on these wheels. And here's the bottom line. These, in my experience, do not pump well at all. In fact, to me, they feel like they have increased friction on them. The best way I can describe it is when you pump these, it feels almost like you're pumping through sand. So they're hard to get up to speed initially. And then what I also find is once I'm up to speed and then just coasting, these do not maintain momentum like other wheels. So bottom line, I don't like these for either pumping or carving. So let's head off to our next location. Now here we are at a parking garage where I'm going to perform a little speed test, and I'm doing this because that's one of the core claims of the Shark wheel is that it's faster than other wheels because it has less of a contact patch. And I've also seen a few other people online say that they find it to be faster, but the truth is that's not the case for me. It doesn't feel faster to me at all. They feel like they have more friction and they feel like they're slower. So I wanted to be somewhat scientific about this. So really all I'm going to do is test 5 different wheels, and I'm going to just time myself from the top to the bottom of this section of the parking garage here. And it's not completely scientific, obviously, because I can be wrong on my timing and the wheels aren't the same diameter, but I am using these same bearings, the same exact setup on all of these. So I think it'll give us kind of a good idea of whether or not these Shark wheels are indeed faster than other wheels.
Okay, so let's recap what we've learned here. Let's just go through the original questions that we asked. The first question is, how well do these grip for tight carving? The bottom line on that one for me is they do not grip nearly as well as other wheels. I find that the decreased contact patch with these wave pattern actually makes it easier to slide out side to side. Now they do carve just fine on flat, clean, smooth pavement, but when I'm carving down steep hills, I have to be somewhat careful, especially when I'm sliding on that really rough asphalt. Second question we asked was, how well do they pump? In my opinion, they do not pump well at all. Now I don't really know how to explain that, but all I can say is how it feels is that these wave patterns, when that front of your board is going side to side in a pump, it's almost as if these wave patterns actually kind of compete with each other. It's just hard to pump, it's hard to get up to speed, and it's just not a very comfortable pump action for me. Next question, how do they handle rough surfaces, cracks, and pebbles? My experience is not very well at all. The one thing that I can say about it is, if you're going straight over rough stuff with pebbles, it will kind of push those pebbles out of the way going straight a little bit better than other wheels. But when it comes to any kind of sliding side to side on rough surfaces, in my experience, these slide out from underneath me very, very easily, much easier than many other Surfskate wheels. And the other thing is, when you're going over sidewalk cracks, they are very quite jarring. So as I said, these are 78A. Now that's supposed to be a very soft durometer, but when you compare this to these other, like this is the Yao Cinetic 78A, you can just tell the difference in softness. Here's some Roundhouse Ecothanes, also 78A. Here's some Seismics, also 78A. And you can just tell that it's very hard to squeeze. So what that means is, I don't know how to explain the difference in hardness when they're the same durometer, but these wheels are much harder than any other Surfskate wheel that I've tried, which means that it's not a comfortable ride. And so that answers the comfort question as well. How fast are they? Well, as we saw from our little speed test, they are not faster. I don't know where Sharkwheel is getting their data. When they say they're faster, I don't know what they're comparing them to, because to me they do not feel any faster. In fact, they feel slower. As I said, when you start to pump, they're hard to get up to speed, and then when you're just coasting, they lose momentum very quickly. They don't keep up that forward momentum like other wheels do. Now when it comes to surf skating, I'm not a big fan of speed anyway. It's not like I'm getting very fast, but I do want the option. When I'm on big hills, I want the option to be able to open it up a little bit and get some speed. And when it comes to that, I'm not going with shark wheels. And now our last question, how do they slide? Well, as I said, and as you've seen, I'm not a good slider, so I don't know. So I don't know the full extent of that. But as you also saw, in my opinion, they slide out too easily. And they say on the website that it's for a more controlled slide. That's not my experience at all. In my experience, it's a far less controlled slide than anything else, because of the wave pattern, which gives you the reduced contact patch. Now, if you're a good slider, that might mean that they slide pretty well for you, but I wouldn't recommend them anyway based on their overall performance, and I think that you're going to find better slide wheels out there anyway. And then just to finish this up, I want to go through their website page where they talk about their wheels for surf skating specifically and analyze each of their claims on that front. Okay, so the first thing they say is that these wheels are built for surf skate. Shark wheels are the only wheels in the world specifically designed to increase your surf skate experience. The carving motions of surf skate are the actual shape of the wheel. Feel the difference. I don't know if anyone at the Shark Wheel Company has tried these wheels for surf skating, but I don't know what they're talking about, because as I said, my experience is when I pump these wheels, that side to side front action, those waves do not work well at all for pumping, and it feels to me like they actually interfere with each other, the exact opposite of what they're claiming on their website. The next claim they make is that it's the best wheel in the world for rough terrain. My experience with that is that that may be true when you're just going forward. But when it comes to sliding side to side on rough surfaces on these wheels, they do not handle well at all, and there are other wheels that handle way better than them, in my experience. The third thing they say is that they're lightning fast. I don't know where they're getting that data. I don't know what they're comparing it to. I do not find these wheels lightning fast at all. In fact, to me, they feel like they actually have more friction than other wheels. The next thing they say is that they have better slide control. As I've already said, in my opinion, not at all on rough surfaces. In fact, I find them to be decreased slide control to the point where I'm worried that they're going to squirrel out of control on me, and I can't be very aggressive with them on steep, rough hills. Now, maybe if you're a better slider, maybe you have a different experience on the slide front than me, but my experience is I would not use these wheels for sliding at all. I think there's much better sliding wheels. And then the final thing that they say on their website about them is that they last longer. Well, I don't know about that, and honestly, I don't really care, because I've been riding these wheels hard for every day for about a week, and after this test and this review, guess what? I'm never going to use Shark wheels again for surf skating, because I think that there are so many other better wheels out there. Now, what those wheels are, I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you that in a next upcoming review where I reveal what my personal favorite surf skate wheels are.